Welcome into the Jam Happy Hour. I hope you're having a wonderful day, evening, whatever time it may be where you are. I hope you're ready for a great hour of music and conversation and just getting to vibe out and hang out and be together musically with Maisy Kay, who's jumping in with us from, I believe, Los Angeles today.
Yes, Los Angeles. Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here with us in the Jam Happy Hour. Not exactly a LA accent.
No, I'm England, born and raised, but I live here now.
I'd say it must be quite the culture shock.
Definitely. I was 14 when I moved to Los Angeles, and that's definitely a huge change.
Right.
Yeah.
And that very transformative part too of just like growing up and kind of coming into your own. And here's a whole new
Oh my
country to deal
God.
with.
Yes, I've been speaking about this more and more as I grew up, just that huge culture shock at that crucial age to learning social skills and just being in school and a whole life that I sort of missed out on to come here and pursue music. So,
Right.
yes, it's a very big change.
And I'm sure some of it has made its way into the music.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's something really cool that comes with the artistry of the very unique upbringing I've had. I don't know if I'd recommend it to everyone. I don't know if I'd say this was the correct thing to do, but I do think that I've learned a lot from doing it, and ultimately, I'm grateful for how I ended up here. I'm pleased about it.
I mean, 100%. And I'm sure it definitely, moving at that point in that time, made you very good at adapting to situations and dealing with different people. And in this industry, what a beautiful way to be.
Yeah. So true. I think it definitely prepped me well for this specific industry. But also, as a 14-year-old, moving country and abandoning everything, it's a lot. It's a lot. I don't think I
Yeah.
realized quite how much at the time that I made that choice, but I think it worked out the way it needed to.
It'll come out in therapy later.
There we go. Take it to the
We
therapist.
go. I would love to jump in right away here in the Jam Happy Hour and just kind of get to know you and your music a little bit more. What would you like to play for us first?
Yeah, so I think the perfect first song to play is called First Time. It's the song I performed on keyboard when I was on tour recently with Jake this past summer.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of it, and I think it's a really great introduction to my music.
It sounds serendipitous. It's Maisy Kay here in the Jam Happy Hour with First Time. Take it away.
Over the city lights, under the glow of the neon signs, kiss me away up high. The world stood still for us on that night. I know you don't want me now. I know that I let you down. I know I can't have you how I used to, but we'll always have the first time. The first time we felt that rush, we'll always have the first time. The first time our hearts got crushed, and no one can take those moments away, no matter how hard they try, 'cause there's nothing like the first time. The first time you fall in love, love. Slow dancing in the street, moving to the sound of our heartbeats, living in a fantasy. But everything is gold when you're 19. I know you don't want me now. I know that I let you down. I know I can't have you how I used to, but we'll always have the first time. The first time we felt that rush, we'll always have the first time. The first time our hearts got crushed, and no one can take those moments away, no matter how hard they try, 'cause there's nothing like the first time. The first time you fall in love, love. I'll ever have a first time. The first time we felt that rush, we'll always have the first time. The first time our hearts got crushed, and no one can take those moments away, no matter how hard they try, 'cause there's nothing like the first time. The first time you fall in love, in love, love, in love, love, in love, love.
First time. That's off Metamorphosis, isn't it? You have a new EP coming out in the very near future. It's this week, right?
It's called Metamorphosis.
That's got to be. Is it more exciting? Is it? Does it make you nervous? Do you kind of get? Well, I mean, butterflies, pun intended. I mean, how do you feel about finally this EP is going to be out?
I feel really good about it. The EP contains songs that are over 3 years old, and transparently, it just feels really nice to put that music out into the world. I think it signifies a really important chapter in my life, and one that I feel I've now moved past from. So, to be honest, more than anything, I think I'm just excited to have that album out, that EP out in the world, to signify what it meant to me the past few years of my life, and to close that chapter and start a new one. I think it was really necessary. And so more than anything, I'm just stoked. I hope people like the music. I'm ready to put it out and move on to the next thing. Yeah.
That's got to be so hard as an artist to work on a song like that, and whether it be for like a year, 2 years, 3 years. Like, you've been sitting with this so long that where you were at mentally and sometimes even physically when you were creating the music, and you're not there anymore. How difficult is it to put yourself back into that mindset as you're performing the songs now?
That's a wonderful question. It's something I've felt a lot with this EP, because this EP and a lot of music I've put out in the past has been very specifically about heartbreak and about feelings that I transparently do not have anymore. So I think that's a really good question to ask, because it is interesting.
You've moved on from the moment, but
very
now
much
you're sharing the moment from that place.
And you're very much transported back into that time period where you wrote them about. I think it's good, and for me personally, I think it brings a lot of joy and a lot of peace, because I remember when I wrote a lot of the songs that are on this EP, I truly had feelings of despair and hopelessness, and the thoughts that things wouldn't get better, which I'm now happy to sit here and say things did in fact get better. It just took a while.
They always do.
But they always do. I think ultimately it's relieving for me to sit back into the process of the person that made this EP, because it's very much not who I am anymore. And I'm so relieved to report that I'm in a better place mentally, and that I've overcome so many of those demons. But I also think that's why it's important to share this EP with people, because this EP was made in a time where I was feeling those demons, and I was actively struggling mentally, and things were really hard for me, and things can be really hard for a lot of people, and I have always valued transparency, and I want to be really open about that. So I feel good now revisiting it, knowing that I don't feel that way anymore.
Right. But
and
also
I hope I
that
can
by
help
sharing
others.
it
Yes.
with others who may be in that place right now, there's going to be like a sense of comfort, for them to experience it for the first time. Again, Metamorphosis,
Absolutely.
it's coming out this Friday. And if you're liking what you're hearing so far, definitely jump in on Maisy Kay's socials, add her to your playlist, your Spotify's, your iHearts, wherever you get your music, because it all goes into the algorithm of helping share the music even more. And that's why we're here in the Jam Happy Hour, sharing music. I do want to reset for a quick second. I know you have a little bit of a cold, so if you want to grab some water or take a drink, I just want to remind everybody that here in the Jam Happy Hour, it is all about getting to know artists. And when you do connect with these songs, please share them. that's it. That's what we're here to do. Just hang back and relax and get to know each other a little bit better. You've been putting out music for almost 10 years now. Do you ever stop and think like, wow, okay, that's a lot of work. And especially when you're like out on the road with somebody like Jake, who, you know, is like almost like a baby artist. Like his, you know, his first EP just came out. You're looking at a very almost like a dichotomy of, you know, where you're at professionally and, you know, where he's at professionally. Did you kind of have that sense of like, let me give you the keys, let me give you the notes, let me help you out a little bit? Or you're like, you know what, your journey is going to be your journey?
Yeah. I think what Jake has done is very inspiring. I think that he's a very talented pianist and writer.
Oh, yeah.
And
Lovely.
I definitely, as an artist that's joining on someone else's tour, for me personally, I very much felt like you have your method down. I don't want to interfere with it. I very much,
Got it.
I let him do him, and I just try to do me to the best of my abilities. And, you know, it's such an honor to get to open on a tour for someone that's seeing that newfound success and just sort of rising to fame the way he is. And yeah, for me, it was never a question of let me try and interfere in your process or you interfere in mine. We're very separate entities. But I do think I learnt a lot about artistry in general from being on that tour with him. I think he's very inspiring what he's done. And
he's so kind.
yeah.
And I mean this in the best way. Jake is like a puppy dog. Like he is just lovely and sweet, and he just wants to make people smile, and he wants to do his music. And, you know, obviously he got to hit, you know, well through social media.
Yeah.
That juggernaut is something to see. His very first show ever with his band was at the radio station that I work with. And I
Really?
remember how just excited he was. And he seems to still carry that around. Is that kind of energy infectious when you're out on the road together, day in and day out? Do you kind of feed off of each other a little bit?
I would say absolutely. I mean, I've truly never felt more fulfilled as an artist than when I went on that tour.
Wow.
Just meeting people that really love the music and people that I would have had no access to meet otherwise. Like, it's so hard when you do everything behind a screen.
Right.
It's hard to really acknowledge the amount of people that are supporting and backing what you're doing. So I think this was my first ever tour, and going on it, it was incredible to see. There were people that came that were fans of me, and people came to a random show in a random state for me, and that's not something that I could have ever even imagined having. There were so many people that purely came because they knew Maisy Kay is opening at this gig and we want to be there for her. And there were so many people that were Jake fans that heard my stuff as the opener and started following and supporting me because of it. And it was such a beautiful, caring environment. I'm truly so blessed. I told everyone that tour was one of the best times of my life because it was incredibly validating as an artist to see that there are people that care and want to connect with you. Like, I've just never had an experience like that before, and it was incredible. My favorite part was just getting to meet everyone and talk to everyone and see everyone like really come and build this beautiful small community. It's one of the best times of my life. Easily.
Live music is back in a very big way. In a way, I think a lot of us are like, wow. I mean, like, it came back bigger and stronger than ever, but I think because people craved being together so much that's why it's coming back around. And that, do you have more plans to tour now that the EP is going to be coming out? What are your, like, obviously we're heading into the holidays right now, but like projecting out your next year, what's coming up next for Maisy Kay?
Yes. So the holiday periods do slow down in music, as well as most entertainment industries do. But I can say next year we have multiple tours planned. I will be out on the road a lot. I have a whole new body of music I'm excited to release that will release next year. There's a lot to be expected for next year. I'm really stoked. I think it should be our best year yet.
That's really exciting. Again, validating, putting on all the work after all of these years. We're going to jump back in on another song really quick because it's such a fast hour. We're almost like a quarter of the way through, which is bonkers.
Yes, absolutely.
What would you like to play for us next, Maisy Kay?
Yes, let me make sure everything's on my phone. I would love to play one of the first songs I ever wrote that I think it ended up getting placed in a video game and it grew more popularity from that placement. And that song means a lot to me. I wrote it with one of my dear friends who unfortunately passed away after their battle with cancer. So I'd love to dedicate this song, the first song I ever really released, Blood-Filled Tears, and I would love to dedicate it to Jason Garviati, who was an incredible co-writer and pianist. And I think about him very often.
You can tell. You can really tell. You can feel it. Okay, well, happy to hear it. Excited to hear it. Blood-Filled Tears here in the Jam Happy Hour with Maisy Kay.
Where did you go? You turned the lights out, shut the door in your own face. Only you know, after midnight, stars are crashing into place. For the first time in a long time, the night is crystal clear, but the rain falls on the asphalt as you wipe away your tears. Cross my heart and hope to save a life. Let me in the shadows of your closing eyes. Vision's getting stained, clouded by the pain, addicted to escape, but she can't see that everyone's insane. I see it every day, watch them wash away the blood-filled tears, the blood-filled tears. Can you hear it coming closer? Press your ear against my heart. If you scream, will they hear you? If you've written off their part, undercover darkness wonders as you say your last goodbye. Without a whisper, who could listen? Silence was your loudest cry. Cross my heart and hope to save a life. Let me in the shadows of your closing eyes. Her vision's getting stained, clouded by the pain, addicted to escape, but she can't see that everyone's insane. I see it every day, watch them wash away the blood-filled tears, the blood-filled tears. Now you've left me shattered on the ground. Won't pick up the pieces if you're not around. Ooh. Cross my heart and hope to save a life. Let me in the shadows of your closing eyes. Her vision's getting stained, clouded by the pain, addicted to escape, but she can't see that everyone's insane. I see it every day, watch them wash away the blood-filled tears, the blood-filled tears.
Blood-Filled Tears with Maisy Kay here in the GM Happy Hour, featured in Lorelei, right?
That's correct. Lorelei, the video game, yes.
I have a little bit of a background just with EA being here in Orlando and having worked on some video games. I always find it very interesting. What comes first in that situation? Did they hear the song and said, "Oh my God, this is going to be great for this project," or you're like, "Hey, there's this project, we need a song," because it ties in so perfectly with the vibe of that game. How did it come to be?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. So I loved. There was a prequel that came out to Lorelei called The Cat Lady. And I loved that game. I was just genuinely, as a 13, 14-year-old, a huge fan of the game.
Right.
So I followed them on Facebook.
Huh.
And they had mentioned that they were looking for artists to play in the sequel to The Cat Lady. And so Blood-Filled Tears was a finished song.
Right here.
Yeah. It was a finished song, and I didn't know much about... I knew nothing about Lorelei, but I knew the Cat Lady focused around mental health and depression and things that I felt Blood-Filled Tears connected to. So I blindly sent Blood-Filled Tears to the director, and I was like, I'm a huge fan of the series, and here was my suggestion. And I didn't think I'd hear anything back from him, but the director loved it and responded and asked if it originally was supposed to be the end credit song.
Ooh, that's a good place.
As we sat with the game more, I ended up booking, it was my first ever voice actor job, but I ended up auditioning for the lead character in that game to voice act, and I booked it. So I think once we'd had that connection and the director knew me as someone that already submitted the song, he asked if we could take the song from the end credit song to the title track of the game, to which I was like, sure, absolutely, please, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
And so most people that hear Blood-Filled Tears, they think of Lorelei, and that means a lot to me because it was genuinely such a game franchise that I just, as a young teenager, truly invested in and loved. So it's incredible to get to be a part of that now as an established artist, when that was just something that I loved as a kid and I wanted to support it.
Up.
Yeah,
like,
it was really incredible.
Game. I love this. I love it when everything just kind of like dominoes into place like that. And now, other kids are playing it and hearing it and experiencing it. And would you want to do more voice acting? It's definitely a different vibe than music.
It's a different vibe. I do voice acting jobs now. I sort of built that side career up by myself. I'm doing some cool things right now that I can't talk about, but will be coming out hopefully soon. I love voice acting. I really do. And I love video games. I love video games. My whole life I've loved video games. So like a dream is to have either a music sync in a video game or a voice acting job in a game. And I think Lorelei was that perfect introduction to that industry for me because I loved that series so much, and to get to play such a part in it and to get to be known. Like, people to this day will come into my Twitch streams or my Instagram comments and they'll be like, "You're Lorelei." Like, that's such an amazing feeling to have, and I love that people know me for that. I'm definitely very passionate about
fan base too.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
but it's one that works so well for me. Like, I've always loved video games and fantasy, and any way that I can play into that is a giant win in my book. So yes, I'd love to be more involved with stuff like that.
You kind of pick that up a little bit when you just kind of go through the discography that you love a theme. I mean, it's like you're not afraid to dive in it fully. It's not just like a song. Like, you will go into it. And themes or different languages or just trying something completely different. Have you always kind of been that way even as a kid? You're like, I'm just going to try it.
Yeah, I've always been that way. I learnt the language Na'vi from Avatar when I was 10 years old, just because I saw that movie in the cinemas and 10-year-old me absolutely lost her mind. She thought it was the coolest thing she's ever seen. And I thought, I want to learn this language. I want to be able to speak it. I want to become one with the people. So I think that's always just been part of who I am. Like, I did that project at 10. I learned to speak that language. And I love a theme. You're so right. I love a theme. So I think, that's definitely been a prominent part in my artistry. And also just me as a human being. I love a theme. I really do.
That's so great. What did you see the sequel? What did you think?
I cried.
I mean,
I cried. I
like a
cried when
baby.
I forget what they're called, but when they had that whole, I really feel passionately about like nature conservation as well. Like I'm a huge animal fan. I have a lot of pets, exotic pets. Like I love pets. So I think I've always felt very strongly about whales and how whales are hunted, and they have a whale equivalent in the sequel. Is all I don't want to spoil it for people that
I don't think
haven't
we can
seen
spoil it at
but
this point. I
it's
mean,
a
if you haven't
whale.
seen it
There,
yet, but
there are whale-like creatures in the sequel, and at one point the whales take control back and they're
it's so
murdering the
awesome.
bad humans. And I was crying, and I was like, "Yes, yes, get them!" So I was
It's like a
invested. I was
5-hour
crying,
film, and you're like, I'm gonna go see it again.
I'm
I
like
don't care.
sobbing. I'm like rooting for the whales. I'm like, it's so good. Like.
I was doing the same thing. I
Oh,
took my
good.
my
I'm
12-year-old.
relieved.
She was doing it too.
Oh,
She's like,
yeah?
"What do you have me doing?" But when a movie hits like that and you connect with it like that, and especially at the age of 10, you decide you're going to learn the language.
Yeah.
Has that come in handy?
Absolutely. It very much has. My most popular song to date is with a DJ called The Fat Rat. And that song is called The Storm. And in The Storm, I sing in Na'vi for most of the song. There's some English, but it's mainly Na'vi. And that brought a lot of like fans of Avatar into my music, which
They
is so
had
fun because
to.
I'm a fan of Avatar. Like I was
Sure.
just a 10-year-old fangirl of Avatar that ended up doing something with it. And so it's very cool. Most people know me from The Storm, which is a fully, almost completely Na'vi song. So it worked out for me in the end, I think. I think it was cool.
You really do have the ability to just kind of like dive in and completely submerge yourself into something, and I don't think a lot of people can do that as fully. As whether it's learning a language or having the perfect song that's going to match like a game, or as far as with Metamorphosis that's coming out on Friday. No big deal. What is kind of the theme of that project?
Yeah, so I wanted to name the EP Metamorphosis because I raise butterflies, so I have a lot of caterpillars that are
butterflies
raised to
have-
butterflies.
Do they have character?
I would say yes. I
Like
would
some of
say
them act a
it's
certain way. You're like, you're a wild
Yeah.
butterfly.
yeah. It's not to the same amount of like a dog or a cat. Like they don't have personality to the same level that a dog or a cat does, but they do have their own personalities. They have their own trust levels in you. Like a lot of them will just like sit on my face and they'll just hang out there for ages, and I'll just hold them, I'll kiss them. Like some of them are more willing to that behavior than others, but what I really loved about it, the process of doing it, I always release them into the wild, so it makes me feel like I'm like helping nature a little bit. But what I also loved about the process, and I to this day I think is so fascinating, I just think the journey of going from a caterpillar to coming into a chrysalis, and they basically dissolve all of their organs and rebuild them to become this beautiful butterfly. And for me personally, had felt like I'd spent so long in artist development and so long being really unsure of who I was and what I wanted my sound to be like. As I was raising these butterflies since I started living alone, I realized how truly inspired I was by the process of fully like disintegrating yourself to become something greater. And
If you've not seen it, I encourage everyone to Google it because yes, it is
magical.
not a pretty
very
process.
magical.
People think it's like, oh, they just unfurl and they're this
No.
beautiful butterfly. No.
No.
No. You have
They
to go
dissolve
through some mess.
everything. And transparently, as someone that raises them, some of them die during that process in the chrysalises. Like some of them just die and they never emerge. But I think there's something so incredible about just renewing yourself at any stage of life. Like you don't have to be defined by age limitations or whatever it is. Like you can reinvent yourself and you can strive to be the best person you possibly can be at any point in your life. So I called my EP Metamorphosis because I finally felt, after almost a decade of living in America, that I knew who I was and who I wanted to be and what my sound was, and I was ready to leave this past chapter behind and move on to something greater, much as a butterfly leaves being a caterpillar. So that's why I named it Metamorphosis. Butterflies are important to me. And I thought it really represented where I was in life. So
Again, it just falls together so perfectly. Learning the lesson and moving on from it and starting off a new chapter. I love that. And congratulations on
Thank you.
putting that all together. If you guys want to hear more of what's coming out on Metamorphosis, it is this Friday. And I'm sure it's all over your Instagram and all over your Twitches and all the things. There we go. We put it all up there for you. Make sure you're following along. There was a phase, though, and I think it kind of goes back into that pre-metamorphosis phase where you were in your feelings and you were allowing it to be kind of dark. And that has to be cathartic on some level to be able to get it out artistically like that. Was that in parallel with life, or was that like, I'm going to get it all out in this music and it's like you feel almost cleansed?
Absolutely. I write about what I feel. I'm not one of those people that can sing a song that doesn't belong to me. That's something I've expressed my whole artistry. Like, not only do I need to write on this record, I need to really feel it. So
Gotcha.
we wrote a whole album's worth of songs back in 2020. And I'll never forget it. In those writing sessions, everyone kept saying to me, like, now we want to do something like happier and brighter. And I told them all so specifically, I said, I can't write something like that if I don't truly feel it. The place I was at in 2020 when we wrote that album, it was a very sad, dark, and lonely place. And so we wrote brighter sounding songs. Doorway is one of them. But even still, if you listen to the lyrics of Doorway, if you listen to what we're really saying, I said to them, like, I'm not comfortable writing a love song. I'm not comfortable writing something that I don't feel. Which is fun because this new project that will come out next year is very the opposite of that. It's very romantic. It's a romantic piece. It's a different stage of life. But Metamorphosis signifies a very dark, very sad and lonely period of my life. And it's very authentic to me because I literally told my co-writers I will not write something happy and joyous when I don't feel that emotion. And I don't feel it.
Well, and especially in 2020. 2020 was a very dark year for
2020
a lot of
rocked
reasons.
us all. Yeah.
Right.
2020 rocked us all, I think. I think that's fair to say. But
there's a really great study that says, even listening to, sad songs or even listening to like darker, deeper songs, they still make you feel happier. And I think there's beauty in that. Like you can like, bawl your eyes out to a song because it's hitting on the exact level, but you always feel better because you don't feel so
you feel
alone.
less alone because someone else had to write that song and had to feel what you're feeling in that moment to create it.
And
there's
how does
something
it feel
beautiful
knowing that
about
somebody's
sad
going to take
songs.
your words and your experience and they're going to take it into their life and they're going to maybe even feel it, see it somewhat differently, but it's going to fit into their narrative. Like as a songwriter, are you like mentally prepared to be like, okay, now I've released it and it belongs to everybody but me?
Yeah. I feel a real sense of community. I remember the first time ever when I was like maybe 15 or 16 and I put out this song called Enough, and it was a song about wanting to feel enough for just anybody in life. It was a very teenage angsty song just about feeling like you didn't belong anywhere and that no one really wanted you there. And I remember I started getting these Facebook messages from random people messaging my artist page saying, this song helped me so much. Like I felt so alone, and then I heard Enough and it made me feel better to an extent. So I think there's no greater honor as an artist trying to get to do something like that. And I'm a very sensitive person. Anyone that knows me in life will tell you that. I'm very sensitive and I feel a lot. And that can be a pro and a con. For songwriting, it's a massive pro. But it does mean that you feel a lot and you hurt a lot. And not everyone hurts to the same extent that people like me hurt. So I think it's nice to get to put out songs that have that sadness and have that hurting and have other people feel them and relate to them. But now I think most importantly what I want to put out in the world to other people with this next phase of my artistry is that you are allowed to feel that sad and let yourself feel that sad, but also it will get better. Yeah. Even if you don't think it can, because I definitely, it took like almost 6 years for things to get better for me, like transparently, like it was an almost 6-year period of grief and sadness.
Well,
but
hope is
now
a very powerful emotion.
It's very powerful, and I think it's beautiful in the terms of songwriting. It allowed me to write what I've done in my past, but I feel very good about where I'm at now, and especially as someone that has always transparently felt that hurt and that sadness, I think not only is it important to publicize that, but it's important to publicize what comes after, which is this sadness is not forever. Stuff. Even when you feel it's forever, it's not forever. It does pass, just as anything does. And I think we need that more than ever since the pandemic and since everything that's been happening in the world the last few years. It's easy to feel hopeless and lost. And I think any sort of art I can offer to the world to say that it doesn't always have to feel this bleak.
Yeah.
Is necessary, and I would encourage any other artist to do the same thing because it's so easy to feel bleak. And
that was kind of the beginnings of the Jam Happy Hour. It was in those dark years, in that 2020 phase where everybody was at home. People were craving something new and something different. And, we're thrilled to still be able to do this and connect. I think we all learned coming through that process together that even though you're in LA and I'm in Florida or the team's in Napa, we can still connect in this way, whether it's through music or just through conversation. So thank you so much for being here in the Jam Happy Hour. And if you are enjoying Maisy Kay, again, grab all your links and make sure you're following along. I would love to jump in on only our third song this evening, which is kind of crazy. What would you like to play for us next?
Okay, I think I will do Almost Touch Me next. Almost Touch Me is a song I'm incredibly proud of. I wrote it single-handedly, fully by myself, back in 2017. And funnily enough, randomly through the gods of Spotify, the song's been doing really well. It's my most popular independent release outside of the Navi one I did with the Fat Rat. It's almost at 2 million streams, so wow. I would encourage anyone that wants to check it out and push it to 2 million before the end of the year. Almost Touch Me by Maisy Kay. But I love it a lot because I wrote it fully by myself and I had no idea upon release that it would have the impact that it's had. So it's really lovely to see it
continue
do well and to see people relate to it. I just wrote that song by myself as an 18-year-old girl that had a crush on a boy, and it did well. It resonated. That's lovely. That makes me feel really cool. So
100%. Well, we can't wait to experience it. Almost Touch Me with Maisy Kay here in the Jam Happy Hour. All yours.
Thank you. We may have to do a little retake depending on how quickly I get these chords, but we'll figure it out. Okay.
Hidden past your grin, see the secrets buried in your skin, baby. I've been lost in your drunken excitement when you talk. Should've known it would take more to scare me off. I don't know what we keep fighting it for when we can't deny we wanted more. Meat at my fingertips, just an inch from my lips, getting too hard to resist. See your eyes in a darkened room, look at mine, see where your thoughts stray to. I get chills every time that you almost touch me. They're saying no, he's a lighted fuse. They don't know you like I'd like to. I get chills every time that you almost touch me. Almost touch, baby, what you playing? We could be a masterpiece pieced by the gods. Look at me, make me all you're thinking of, baby. I've been patient. Really, there's no need to be polite. I've been yours since you stepped through the door tonight. I can taste frustration on your breath in the midst of flirtatious innocence. Meet at my fingertips, just an inch from my lips, getting too hard to resist. See your eyes in a darkened room. Look at mine, see where your thoughts stray to. I get chills every time that you almost touch me. They say you know he's a lighted fuse. They don't know you like I'd like to. I get chills every time that you almost touch me. Give a girl a chance to blow your mind. Take a good guy, make him bad, make him mine. Hands on my waist, you make it so I can barely breathe. Give a girl a chance to blow your mind. Take a good guy, make him bad, make him mine. Hands on my waist, you make it so I can barely breathe, baby. I've been longing, that you almost touch me. They say you know he's a lighted fuse. They don't know you like I'd like to. I get chills every time that you almost touch me. Almost touch me.
Almost Touched Me with Maisy Kay here in the Jam Happy Hour. Again, that one taking on a life of its own yet again and coming back around through Spotify and playlist. And it's got to be interesting when you start to see, and I hate this word, the metrics, like when you see the data start taking off and you know that that is going to open the door to something else, which is why it's so important to like and follow your favorite artists. How much do you think about that stuff when it comes to like your music and your career? Do you let it creep into your head, or you just like that's part of the business, or you're like, nope, not going to deal with it?
It is part of the business, and I do try to not let it get to me too much, just because there's so much to artistry and releasing music that has nothing to do with numbers. And I think ultimately, if you believe in something and you really stand behind it, put it into the world. And the numbers of how well that does shouldn't define the value of the song to you.
It's noise.
Exactly. I think over the last decade, I've got pretty good at making that separation. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to lie and say that transparently it doesn't sometimes slip into my head and add to that self-doubt, but I think that's part of any young adult doing any sort of job that they care about. I think we all have those thoughts of self-doubt and insecurity, no matter the industry. So I think the music industry is no different, at least from my experience. I still feel that insecurity and that self-doubt. But I think ultimately the best thing you can do is just keep putting out the music that you feel, keep having it be true to yourself, and hope that other people around that can relate to it in any way. It doesn't need to be perfect. If I've learned anything from the last decade on the job, it doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need to do a perfect live performance every time. You just need to make people feel something. And I think that's the ultimate takeaway I try to bring to any record I put out. I want to make people feel something. I'm not trying to be perfect or flawless. I'm probably very flawed, but I hope that that can encourage people to relate and to feel it and to just enjoy the music. So
Well, I think if you spend any time, looking at the comment threads, obviously with your Instagram and through the other platforms, that is an ongoing theme. It's not just so much about, flaws and perfection, but it's like it's your voice. It's the way that
yeah.
you're making people feel. And that's what people are connecting with. And I've just always find it so very curious when you are a creative like yourself, like how do you not get in your head sometimes
Who
with
you do.
the fully uncreative side of it? And
Yes.
so you being like, yeah, you know what, of course it bothers me, but we all deal with self-doubt. That's
Yeah.
just a part of life.
Like, transparently, I was so insecure about even just coming on this show because I'm actively sick, and I know that when I'm sick I
can't
can't
tell.
deliver my best. Thank you. But like, just to add to that, like, I'm not this perfect machine, and I think that's the beauty of artistry, especially as AI takes prevalence in the world now. I think having human voices that aren't perfect and allow themselves to be flawed, I think that's really important in the technological advances of the 21st century. I think
Sure.
we need people like that allow themselves to be imperfect and to know that they are. So I told myself, I'm like, okay, like, will it be your best vocal performance ever? No. But like,
It's
I
still
still
pretty
want
stunning.
to, I still want to do it. It's still, they're my songs. I wrote them. It feels an honor to get to play them and show them on this show with you guys. Thank you for having me. I'm not perfect, but I try my best.
Yes.
And I think a lot of the time in any job industry, sometimes all you can do is your best.
And sometimes it's just a cab that's perfect, and that's
Sometimes
fine. We're
it's
here
just
for that.
exactly.
Welcome.
Sometimes
If you're just jumping into the Jam Happy Hour, we are with Maisy Kay. She has a new EP coming out this Friday. It's called Metamorphosis. Definitely check it out. I'm going to ask a big rolling question, though, because you brought it up. And
Go
not
on.
a lot of artists are talking about this. So I'm
Okay.
curious, because you do come from a background of fantasy, and you do, like to dive into that world a little bit. Speaking of AI,
yes.
and what it possibly could mean for the industry. Does it scare you a little bit? Does it excite you a little bit? Does it do both? Like, we're heading into the wild, wild west of the future with this one.
Yeah.
Like,
Ultimately, I do think it's scary. I think it's like the amount of things on TikTok I've seen of AI versions of an artist singing a song that they didn't sing.
right.
And it's incredibly, it's not perfect, but it is remarkably lifelike. I think that
Pretty damn
is,
close.
I think it's frightening. And, I do voice acting as well. And there's been many contracts that I refuse to sign because in the contract it specifies, if you sign this, you're okay with us taking your voice, putting it into AI so we can replicate it that way. And I thought, well, I'm not really comfortable with that because I don't know what you'll make me say.
Right.
Like, it's scary to, like, have that easy access to people's voices and not
Right.
know what you'd make them say with it, So I think I understand that it is a growing part of the industry and it cannot be silenced.
Nope.
It's growing more and more prevalent and everyone has access to it. It's not going to go away. But truthfully, yeah, it is frightening. It's frightening in the fact that someone can have such easy access to someone else's voice, that someone can impersonate them
Likeness.
saying things that they would never say. And, AI voices sound perfect. And I think
Well, like you had
there's a
said
time and a
before,
place.
The imperfection is what
It's the
a lot of people
imperfection.
connect to.
Yeah, I think it's the imperfection of it all that draws people to live music. And I truly hope that can stay a prevalent part of live music. I think it's important. I think it helps people like me feel sane, like not hearing like everyone deliver perfect, flawless vocal runs. Like, it's not
And let's just be
human.
honest, the hologram tours aren't taking off. So,
No.
people want real people, real experiences, and real music, which is what we're
Mm-hmm.
getting here with you. So thank you so much again for the Jam Happy Hour. We got like 10 minutes left. I tell you, it flies by so fast.
Yes.
What song would you like to perform for us next? And thank you for answering that big question that a lot of artists won't.
No, I will always be honest. I would like to perform Doorway next. It was the first song I ever performed on my tour with Jake. I have an acoustic version here, and I would love to share it.
Well, here's Doorways with Maisy Kay and the Jam Happy Hour.
While we have the second, I'm going to make sure the chords are good.
Eyes wide, evergreen, gave my everything before I saw your true colors that night. Sewn tight at the seams, one pull unraveling. Tried every way to recover, not this time. If I stay, then you get your way, so better I say goodbye. If I stay, then you get your way, so better I say goodbye. 'Cause I was gonna let you in, but now the doorway is closing. I was gonna let you in, but now I'm all boarded up. I was gonna let you in, but now the doorway is closing. I was gonna give my heart, but now the window is shut. I was gonna let you in, but now the doorway is closing. I was gonna let you in, I was gonna let you in, say no more. Fine line, you and me, it's a tightrope. I'm done balancing. Just let me fall and go under. I'll be fine. If I stay, then you get your way, so better I say goodbye. If I stay, then you get your way, so better I say goodbye. 'Cause I was gonna let you in, but now the doorway is closing. I was gonna let you in, but now I'm all boarded up. I was gonna let you in, but now the doorway is closing. I was gonna give my heart, but now the window is shut. I was gonna let you in, but now the doorway is closing. I was gonna let you in, I was gonna let you in, say no more. If I stay, then you get your way, so better I say goodbye. If I stay, then you get your way, so better I say goodbye. I was gonna let you in, but now the doorway is closing. I was gonna let you in, but now I'm all boarded up. I was gonna let you in, but now the doorway is closing. I was gonna give my heart, but now the window is shut. I was gonna let you in, but now the doorway is closing. I was gonna let you in, I was gonna let you in, say no more.
Doorways with Maisy Kay here in the GM Happy Hour. Is that also featured on Metamorphosis coming out on Friday?
It sure is. It was the last song I played on tour, and that's the first time I've ever played an acoustic version of it.
It sounds lovely. And it's also, I think it's, again,
Thank
something
you.
everybody can kind of relate to with the fact, like, you know, mentally I am walking out of this thing and it is too late.
It's too late. Exactly. It's sort of realizing your worth and knowing you deserve better. So saying you could have had me, you could have had the catch that I know I am, but you didn't act right, so you missed out. And I
You
think
didn't act
more
right.
people should have that mentality. You know, if someone doesn't
It is
treat you right,
empowering.
it's a reflection on them, not you, and just keep pushing on. You'll eventually find someone that does treat you well.
Very true words, Maisy Kay. I can tell by your Instagram, visually, you also are very into what you do and what you put out. Everything kind of has more notes, more depth to just the songs, but obviously in the beautiful pictures and videos as well. Do you really enjoy that side of it as creating as well, the visual as well as the musical?
Oh, very much so. I think
I'm just looking
that
behind you. I mean, like even your backdrop, I'm like, that's beautiful.
yes, this was all very intentional. I really got into the fantasy scene the past year and a half. I dyed my hair red. I got tattoos. I got 7 piercings. I really
Went
committed
in.
to this brand. I was like, like it's time. We're 23. It's time. I love the visual aspect. I refuse to sing a song if I didn't actively contribute to it, and the same way goes to my visuals and just how I handle myself as an artist. Whatever you're getting, it's from me. I contributed to it. I wanted to portray myself this way. I've always loved fantasy. I've loved musical theatre. I've loved the dramatics. I want to play that part in it. And I love that going with this whimsical, ethereal pop vibe, there's so many fun visuals to play with, and I can just do so much with the songs I create. I love that. It's very intentional. The way my apartment, this is a cloud-shaped couch. Like, we have the clouds, we have the sun and the moon. Like,
I'm here for all of it.
it's very intentional, and that's who I do feel I am as an adult now. And I think Metamorphosis is a representation of that, finding yourself, growing into that, and putting out this first piece of music, knowing who you truly are. And it was really important to me to do that and be really involved every step of the way.
Well, thank you for letting us into your home. Thank you for letting us share this hour of music with you. We look forward to much more in the years to come. I do certainly hope. We have time for one more song. What would you like to wrap up your Gem Happy Hour with this evening?
Yes. My last song will be called After Midnight. It's also the last song I played on tour. Again, I've never played an acoustic version of it. This will be the first time. But I thought there was no better song to end it with than the song I ended with on tour.
Perfect. All right. After Midnight's here with Maisy Kay in the Gem Happy Hour.
Pull me closer in the bar we walk to, 'cause in your arms it's harder not to want you. 'Cause I could drink another if you're with me. Not as young, make me alive when you kiss me. I could fall for your behavior. You could call it second nature. Break my heart or treat it right. You decide. Everything's better after midnight. Ooh, 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 ooh. Everything's better after midnight. Ooh, 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 ooh. You decide. You could slice the tension with a sharp knife, 'cause our eyes are on the other all night. Feel the undeniable chemistry. I'm just hoping when I leave you'll still miss me. I could fall for your behavior. You could call it second nature. Break my heart or treat it right. You decide. Everything's better after midnight. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Everything's better after midnight. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You decide. I'm a fool for your demeanor. My heart's raised by how you treat her. Play your cards and roll the dice. You decide. Everything's better after midnight. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Everything's better after midnight. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You decide.
After Midnight with Maisy Kay, wrapping up our jam happy hour. It goes by so fast, but thank you for sharing your time and your talent and just being open and honest. And we look forward to the EP Metamorphosis coming out this Friday. And maybe by the time you see this happy hour, if you're just jumping in late, it'll already be out. So you can go listen to it right now and just support the artistry. And we look forward to hopefully maybe having you in Napa sometime soon and seeing what else you have in store with the Hopeful chapter coming out. Already got big plans for 24 and we're here for it. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Cheers to you. And have a beautiful evening, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor. I hope I did okay despite being sick. We gave it our best shot. I hope it's good. Thank you.
It could have been our secret.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Have a beautiful
And thank
night.
you for the wine. Oh my gosh, you sent me wine. That was so sweet. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, we have a wine fairy.
I love that. Thank you.